Hey everybody, my name is Ryan Brown and I'm here to take you on a product tour of 360 subscription billing for IoT companies. We've got quite a few companies that fit within this very 21st century vertical because, IoT companies are kind of complicated, right? Am I a manufacturer, wholesale distributor of, these really cool, neat devices, or am I a SaaS company? I'm probably both. So that means I usually need a system like NetSuite that has a full ERP, but yet I also need a subscription management and billing system. So um, within NetSuite from the sales to cash process, all my sales and CRM functionality is there. I can have that in an external system too, if I need to do my op quote and sales activities. But the order is really where everything comes together in NetSuite. The fulfillment, or when, the hardware is provisioned, the subscriptions are installed or started, the initial invoicing, the recurring invoicing, and the renewals. You could do all of this stuff in NetSuite with 360 subscription billing. Your sales transactions in NetSuite can become your IoT add-ons, your upsells, downsells, your renewals, your orders, because 360 subscription billing works with native NetSuite transactions. Like sales orders, it lets you keep your inventory, non-inventory, and services items together, item groups, kits, and whatnot. That way you can forecast, activate, and all of that with those different product types together. The fulfillment, quite very uniquely in our module, allows you to start your subscriptions and relate it with devices, sites, and assets. So think, device tracking, asset tracking, for my customer sites, related to my subscriptions, particularly as I have to have box swaps and support for those IoT devices once the subscription has begun. For the initial invoicing, you'll see in the product tour, we automate the proration for the initial billing period, particularly if you're adding on additional installations or activations of IoT device subscriptions to an existing contract that you want to all bill together. And then, of course, when it comes together at the end, you're looking for the automated consolidated invoicing in recurrence and those payments, those credits, those renewals. So this is a more complicated, detailed version of that for those of you that'd like to pause and inspect it a bit. But I will keep rolling into the product tour. So you'll see NetSuite here. We've got some reminders on the dashboard that are typical for IoT companies. How many orders are still pending fulfillment I haven't installed, right? Then typical stuff like how many invoices do I need to follow up on payment. But you can see we've even got reminders for devices pending return, for box swaps and whatnot. There's a few preferences, particularly this one. Creation of contract line based upon the fulfillment of a sales order, whether that's a full quantity or you want to, have a multi-quantity and fulfill in parts to create multiple subscriptions from the same original sales order line, you can do that. And then, of course, activation of our site, device, and asset features is also pretty key. So I can have inventory items like devices, sensors, installation services, and then I can have, of course, the non-inventory items that represent, my my SaaS, my SIM, my hosting, my warranty, whatever have you. And then if I'm bundling the cost of the hardware in there, in other words, I'm providing those for a $0, it's common to have versions of these as well, maybe with a little different pricing than the non-bundled hardware. But I can have a customer and I can set up 360 subscription billing sites on this customer. You can see I've got a headquarters and an east and a west. But other than that, customer record like you'd use normally. And I can then proceed to place my orders, which, in this case, I used an item group that expanded into a mix of devices, sensors, essentially recurring subscriptions, and then, some installation services that's pending approval. And I don't have a contract yet. When I approve this, I'll get a contract. But I also want to draw your eye to the project. You can relate projects. Many of our customers do use suite projects to manage the dispatch provision and the installation, of their assets in NetSuite and tie those ultimately to the next step, which will be fulfillment after I approve and 360 subscription billing creates my contract. As you can see here, here's my contract, but it's kind of empty. In other words, it's waiting for installation activation of those devices to occur, which happens from fulfillment of the sales order. You see this sales order came in February 22nd, took us until March 1st to install the first set of device sensors for this particular vehicle. I've got these device numbers out of that headquarter site from my customer related to my project, again, decrementing my inventory. And then once I set that date and bill it through the invoice, you can see it sets my billing period for that first quarter. In this case, it was quarterly billing, but we can let you do anything from weekly through triannually frequencies if you want to mix all those on the same contract. Also note, I'm tracking my device, my asset, my vehicle on the site for later on. So my contract line got created on this contract now with these dates in an active status, and it has all of this information on it as well. It's even got, you know, my total contract value information, everything at the line level for tracking as we go forward. And then my next fulfillment happens 10 days later. Got a different mix of identifiers. I can invoice this one. Now you could see the proration is occurring. That $600 a quarter is now taken, what is that, 10 days out of the month of March, and automatically prorating so that it bills with that first installation that occurred. And again, I have another contract line, and again, it can have its own term. It can have a full term, it can co-term for the end date with the other one. It's whatever I want to do. And then 1 day later, I fulfill the last one from that sales order. I bill it. I have a slightly different prorated billing for that initial billing period, but my sales order is now fully billed. See, all of this stuff has been provisioned, if you will. And I've got a contract here that has 3 contract lines on it with their own unique terms, dates, and whatnot. And I've also got my related sites, devices, and assets. So if I click this link for related devices, I can see all of these devices related to the contract. And these aren't just text. These are actual records. So 360 subscription billing will create records such as this device so that you can expand it with your own custom fields for things like OEM warranty status, IMEI. Maybe, you know, you're leasing this and retaining ownership, so you want to tie it to a fixed asset that starts its depreciation when the related contract line gets started as well from the installation. And, you know, of course, these devices then appear on all of these transactions. So I can see, hey, it got activated from this fulfillment. It appeared on all of these recurring invoice cycles. Similarly, from my contract, I can see all the assets. Commonly, we describe these to be customer assets, you know, vehicles. So you can see I can have these 3 vehicles as well. And these are also globally searchable and, again, expandable with whatever custom fields you like. They can be also related to various transactions. So my contract, ultimately, when I look back at it, it's now rolling up my actually fulfilled recurring revenue values, how much I've billed to date. It's tracking, you know, what the transactions are here. And I can see these transactions all the way through my first recurring invoice, which is created automatically when they all come together June 1st, which looks like this, right? This is one of the reasons we track all this information. Now I can see I've got these 3 vehicles that were installed at the headquarters site with their various IDs and their various terms. Finally, I can add on to this sales order, as you could see here, with another single quantity batch, in this case for the East site for my subscription. And I can fulfill, let's see, this came from a quote related to my contract that you may have seen in the prior screen. This came in on the 29th of June. Well, it goes live on July 1st. Well, I want to co-term this as well. So this invoice is now going to be for 2 of my months until my next recurring. So if I go and print this one from NetSuite, you'll see that it should be for 2/3 of that $600 quarterly charge. It is. It's for 2 months out of the quarter for this add-on in their East site, even though I've got my one-timers billing on there as well. And here's what it looks like when they all come together, my East site with my headquarter vehicles. Now I've got 4 on these. I've got a $2,400 quarterly invoice. You know, that can continue into December and on and on and on. As you can see, if I go back to my contract here, as we go forward, you can see the process just kind of continues until they ultimately renew. And I can see once they've renewed, what was added on here, all these new ones, they've all terminated. Now these ones have renewed, and we're continuing on with the recurring billing cycle with this contract. In this case, I've billed a significant amount to date. I have a larger full annual value, and 360 subscription billing will keep the fun going for you until you change it or add on some more. So thanks so much for watching. This has been 360 subscription billing for IoT. My name is Ryan Brown. Let us know if you think we can help you or if this meets your business model.